Well, spoilers ahead, I guess. The Fast and the Furious 9, or F9 as it has been marketed, once again reunites our favourite car family as they reunite to chase yet another MacGuffin. But the big twist this time is that Dom has had a secret brother played by John Cena this whole time. Now, before I get into this review, I'm just going to quickly say that while I'll be trying to keep this majority spoiler free, as you can probably tell by the thumbnail, I have things to say, and there will be some things that I will have to talk about a certain spoiler for the movie, in which case I will give a warning. And if you do like what I do on this channel as well, do be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are nearly at 300, aim to get there by the end of the month. Only got a few days left, so hopefully we can get there. So, The Fast and the Furious 9, I want to preface the fact that I know what we should be expecting when it comes to the Fast and Furious franchise these days. I know you're supposed to go in, turn off your brain, and have fun with it. But what happens when the fun stops? Yes, it has come far and away from what it used to be. We can't go back to the robbing DVD players in order to tune up our cars. We're no longer on that. We are in space now, for crying out loud. And this was spoiled in the trailer. Anything in the trailer that was spoiled, I will be going into within this review. Now, obviously, I went in wanting just to see some mindless, dumb fun. But as I have previously stated, I have stopped having fun with this franchise. One thing that this film does well, because I will talk about something that does well first of all, is I did like the backstory with Dom and his brother Jacob. I feel like them flashback sequences were some of the best elements of the movie. Obviously, it's questionable why John Cena is playing a character that was clearly of Latino origin from the backstory, but that is a whole another kettle of fish that I'm not qualified to talk about, and there are plenty of reviewers that can talk about that. Me, I just want to come in here for some mindless fun. As I've already stated, the fun was gone. A lot of things change. Like, how did Ludacris's Ted go from just being a garage owner in Miami to being this computer whiz kid? Well, they doubled down on this and have our lead character from Tokyo Drift Sean return along with Lou Bow Wow and another lad called Earl, I think his name was. They have three of the Tokyo Drift crew come into this movie as rocket scientists that are racing jets. How do we go from Lucas Black racing in Tokyo, being the Drift King, to being on a random canal in some random country for Tyrese and Tez to take the mick out of for basically a couple of gags before they inevitably help the crew get to space? That is one thing that frustrates me, and quite frankly, I didn't even realize that that was those three until the end of the movie, and I had to go look at the cast afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, they actually pulled in characters from the forgotten third movie into this one. And I feel like that was mainly for the Han stuff, because as spoiled in the trailer, Han does return in this movie. And aside from a very, very last minute throw in reunion moment with the Tokyo Drift crew and Han, one thing going into it that was really appealing to me was how the hell did Han survive this? And this is where I'm going to spoil something. Because I'm going to spoil exactly how they say Han survived that. And you can tell this film does not give a damn. I mean, they've not given a damn in a while, but they really don't give a damn. Where basically the long and short of it was magic. Apparently, Mr. Nobody hired Han to help him find something in Tokyo. He took in a small child, and they've heard about a rogue agent So when Jason Statham came to town to murder Han, they thought we'll use that as cover to get me killed off. And it makes literally no sense. Like, was Han ever in that car? The whole chase sequence in the third movie where he gets killed. Remember how that whole death was like a cautionary tale of, yeah, street racing's cool and fun and all, but you can die on it. That was what the original thing was of Han dying, because it wasn't even he was killed maliciously by anyone. It was because it was just a freak car accident during a car chase. Then they changed to Statham killed him, which was stretching it, but hey, what can you do? And now in this one, they're saying, oh yeah, magic. They literally have a wipe of the car just being empty. And oh my. Oh, that was me thinking when Han walked in, here comes Han. He's going to save this movie now. He charismatic as hell and save this movie. He hardly does anything. He is only back in this to reintroduce another new character who I will admit she is great. I did enjoy her, but it's one of those characters that are introduced in like the last half of the movie. So they don't get any time to know them. That's another thing as well. The whole family aspect of Fast 9 is just gone. I mean, they talk about the Torettos are family and this, that, and the other, but I don't feel any chemistry with any of the characters today. I think the best chemistry is Tej and bloody Roman Pierce at this point. There was just a whole lot not going on. Dom felt very flat. John Cena felt very flat. Letty by Michelle Rodriguez, who's usually one of my favorite parts of his movies, she had nothing to do. They brought Mia back into this one to deal with the Dom brother situation, because obviously Mia is Dom's sister, which made sense. And they writ off Brian saying, yep, he's looking after the kids. Fair enough, that's all well and good. But God, there's just nothing about these characters in this one. There's no charm about them. Even though they bring in more characters from the previous films, like at this point, I fully expect Giselle to come back in the next one. Now that we got Han back permanently, we are definitely going to get Gal Gadot back in the next one, I feel. And who knows? Maybe they'll go back to Miami and they'll see Jimmy, who's now the owner of Tej's old garage, and Suki's like the queen of the streets of Miami or whatever. The action set pieces, I was bored by him. I genuinely was really bored by the action set pieces, and they're usually the best bits. The fun, turn off your brain, have a good laugh with it sort of moments. But no, I didn't have them moments. I didn't really enjoy them. And you could see where certain elements are going to go. You know how the resolution is going to come to fruition. Another character that is very underutilized is Charlize Theron as Cypher. I love Cypher as a villain, but she is very much a backseat player in this, and Charlize Theron honestly looks bored throughout her entire performance. And I felt, to be fair, that could just be the character. The character is quite bored with the situation they're in, that I'm not going to spoil, but there is a certain situation where they can't really do much. But even so, after such a good villain to come in the last movie to just be a backseat player in this and just making way for this basically spoiled rich boy, it didn't gel well for me. There are a couple of logic leaps. There's a moment where it looks like Vin Diesel's being written out the game, but then it's revealed that these people are actually on Dom's side, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out who the hell they were. I'm assuming they were in previous movies, but I genuinely couldn't remember them. And I'm like, why did they take away in the it? Like, I get it, Fast Furious, I get it. You don't care. You don't care at all. And that is made perfectly clear by how Roman Pierce basically became the mouthpiece for any fan that tries to think more than from what they're seeing in front of their eyes. Because literally, Roman, he spends a good portion of the movie questioning how have we survived all these missions without a scratch. Look at all these bullet holes from this army that was shooting at me earlier, and I've not got a scratch on me. Which, honestly, all that made me think of, wasn't Roman in a sling at the end of Fast and Furious 2 after crashing into a boat with Brian? He had a scratch in the old days, but now it's like, yep, they're invincible, they can't be touched. That's another thing as well. There is no stakes in this. Sure, break physics and whatever, but where are the stakes? If people could just come back to life constantly, all these moments of threat, it doesn't work when I don't feel like there's any chance any of these characters are gonna perish. And if there's no stakes, if there's no threat, and the ending is quite bland. It's just a massive stunt show at this point, and that really doesn't make for a good story. And there's only so much you can ride off the fact that these actors all really get along. I never thought I'd get to the stage, to be honest. I enjoy the Fast franchise. I don't love them, but I enjoy them for what they are. But this one just, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that they tried to reference the original ones so much. Like, Dom does a direct reference to the 10-second car bit. You obviously have Lucas Black and the others return from Tokyo Drift. They reference the Han Death, the crash, all these little bits, and they just don't work as well. There are so many moments they try and get you on the heartstrings that are very forced, that they just don't let them sit, and they just don't really work. Even the space bit that has been spoiled in the trailers. Like, there's this moment where Roman has this look on his face when they get in the space, and you're like, oh, this is actually a poignant, sentimental moment. Nope, 2 seconds later, here's a joke. Here's a joke about sweet rappers. Yep, take away all your emotional stakes there. And they even try and do a fake out death moment where, yeah, we're not going to make out of this, but let's go out with a bang. You know they are going to make it. There is no stakes in these movies anymore. There is like none. The fifth one, it was open ended pretty much, who could live or die. 6, you had Giselle die, but she'll probably come back, let's be real. 7, okay, 7 wasn't that great, but it had that beautiful Paul Walker tribute. And 8 gave us a great little villain and a nice dynamic of Dom versus the family, but it's sort of a hostage situation. And someone did die in 8. Someone actually got shot point blank in the head in 8. So again, stakes. This one had no stakes at all. And if you dare question the physics or anything in this movie, you are an idiot, because they spend the entire movie calling Roman an idiot. He questions their immortality. Even when Han comes back, Roman's the guy who's like, yo, how did you survive getting blown apart? And they just say, shut up, Roman. Roman's literally the voice of the fans that dare the question just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. But when every performance feels phoned in and there's no stakes, and it's just a stunt show where it's become, we're so used to it being so ridiculous now, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work as a fun show when you just know what to expect. Mad gadgets, cars swinging from a vine, whatever. And then when they're about to go to space and Tej is talking to Roman how they're going to use physics to crack getting into space. Shut up! Just shut the F up, Tej. You have not been using physics at all. There's literally a bit where they're going across a bridge that's collapsing under him, and the car basically drops and then just goes up in a straight line. Like, do not dare bring physics into this. Just don't even mention the P word. The P word doesn't exist. Physics does not exist in this world. Oh, God. I hated it. I actually hated it. The only things I liked was basically just the Dom and Jacob backstory. That was the only good bit in this movie. As much as they're trying to make like the females look badass, like every action set piece just feels very samey. The ending is quite predictable to see. And another thing, at least with the Fast franchise, it was about street racing in nice cars. They took the street race away, but there was always a nice cars. In this one, there's maybe 2 or 3 nice cars in it. The rest are like fully armored vehicles, nothing overtly appealing about them. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a massive car guy, but I'm watching, I'm like, are the car guys even going to enjoy this? Because there's only like 2 or 3 cars. I'm like, oh, that's a nice car right there. They even have like Han driving the car that looks very similar to the car that he died in Tokyo Drift in. The fact that there's even lifelong fans of this franchise that defend it to the death, even though they know it's stupid. The fact that they are even saying, come on now, what are we doing? That just says a lot. This has been a very ranty review. As you can probably tell for now, it was going to be a ranty review. But I just really need to get this out now. And yeah, I mean, look, if Fast 9 does it for you, if it delivers everything you want, then more power to you. Absolutely more power to you. And judging by the Rotten Tomatoes scores, it looks like it's doing it for most people. But at this point, the Fast and Furious franchise feels like a cross between The Adam Sandler movies in the late 2000s, where it was just an excuse for him and his friends to go on holiday together. But it's like that with the budget of the Transformers movie. And the Transformers movies, after like the third one, we started asking for more. But with this one, we just seem to let them do whatever they want. And while they are self aware of how stupid and dumb it's become, it's just getting a bit dull. And if there's no stakes, there's no real threat of someone dying or biting the big one. Like, I couldn't even tell you what the MacGuffin in this one was called. It was some sort of like two halves of an orb and a code. I really appreciate the first three movies way more now. They're not great movies, but they're at least grounded and down to earth. And at least there's chemistry between these actors. Like, Brian and Roman have great chemistry in the second one. The whole family dynamic in the first one is brilliant. But in this one, like at this point, even the Letty and Dom stuff, which is usually like a very strong part of this franchise, feels very phoned in. And that's kind of sad because I absolutely love their relationship. I think they are probably one of the best couples in cinema. Yeah, I have said it. I do love Dom and Letty as a couple, but this one, there is a small moment that's kind of forced, and don't really know how long I've been ranting at this point, but yeah, let's grade this. The Fast and Furious 9. Well, it was a movie. You do get what you expect, a lot of dumb action, but at this point, the dumb action has stopped being fun. Like, if I want fun action movies, I don't want action movies to be like amazing, deep character studies, but at least be fun. And I was just bored watching this. The only thing that I really got invested in was the whole Jacob and Dom backstory and how it tied in with the father and the Dodge Charger, I think it was, the muscle car from the first one. Again, not a massive car guy, sorry. Like, I love how that all stuff all tied in, but the chemistry between Vin Diesel and John Cena wasn't there at all. The action set pieces felt dumb. The characters in this didn't feel like actual characters with motivations or affections. It just felt like a lot of people being used to drive cars for stunts, and as much as they try and throw in a few callbacks to the older films. I mean, there's a mid-credits scene that was interesting. Like, that's weirdly like the second best bit in this movie is the mid-credits scene. There is a mid-credits scene involving, well, I'll say it involves Jason Statham and someone else, but I will not mention them. And yeah, I've stopped having fun with this franchise. Like, I couldn't believe coming out of it, like, I actually hated it. Like, I went in thinking it was going to be dumb, but at least fun. But there was no fun, no stakes, no character. The Han comeback was a load of BS. And the way that they nod at how absurd they get and then just insult people that dare to think more than 2 seconds about it. Like, if it does it for you, fair play to you. But for me, this was just easily the worst in the series for me. I'm going to have to say that the Fast and Furious 9 for me is a lukewarm cup of tea. So the Fast and Furious 9, have you seen it? Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Again, if you do like what I do on this channel, consider clicking that like button and subscribing to the channel. This video has gone quite long, so I won't keep you any longer than you need to. But we are hoping to get to 300 by the end of this month, so if you can help out with that, do feel free to. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh. I have been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video.